Now, in my State of the Union address, I set a goal of doubling America's exports over the next 5 years, an increase that will support 2 million American jobs. And I've come to the Export-Import Bank Conference today to discuss the initial steps that we're taking to achieve that goal. I know the issue of exports and imports, the issue of trade and globalization have long evoked the passions of a lot of people in this country. I know there are differences of opinion between Democrats and Republicans, between business and labor, about the right approach. But I also know we are at a moment where it is absolutely necessary for us to get beyond those old debates. Those who would once support every free trade agreement now see that other countries have to play fair and the agreements have to be enforced. Otherwise, we're putting America at a profound disadvantage. Those who once would oppose any trade agreement now understand that there are new markets and new sectors out there that we need to break into if we want our workers to get ahead. And meanwhile, if you ask the average American what trade has offered them, they won't say that their televisions are cheaper or productivity is higher. They'd say they've seen the plant across town shut down, jobs dry up, communities deteriorate. And you can't blame them for feeling that way. Fact is, other countries haven't always played by the same set of rules. America hasn't always enforced our trade rights or made sure that the benefits of trade are broadly shared. We haven't always done enough to help our workers adapt to a changing world. Now, there's no question that as we compete in the global marketplace, we've got to look out for our workers. But to look out for our workers, we've got to be able to compete in the global marketplace. It's never been as important an opportunity for America as it is right now. In a time when millions of Americans are out of work, boosting our exports is a short-term imperative. Our exports support millions of American jobs. You know this well. In 2008, we exported more than $1 trillion of manufactured goods, supporting more than 1 in 5 manufacturing jobs. And those jobs, by the way, pay about 15% more than average. We led the world in service exports, which support 2.8 million jobs. We exported nearly $100 billion in agricultural goods. And every $1 billion increase in exports supports more than 6,000 additional jobs. So it's critical in the short term, but it's also critical for our long-term prosperity. 95% of the world's customers and the world's fastest-growing markets are outside our borders. We need to compete for those customers because other nations are competing for them. They're investing in the skills and education of their people. They're investing in the high-demand industries of the future. They've benefited from American consumers. They've made themselves into export-based economies and positioned themselves for the jobs of the future. They're pursuing trade agreements with growing markets. And those agreements would give their companies access to those markets and put our workers and businesses at a disadvantage. So if we stand on the sidelines while they go after those customers, we'll lose out on the chance to create the good jobs our workers need right here at home. That's why standing on the sidelines is not what we intend to do. We need to remind ourselves we still have the most innovative economy in the world. We still have the most productive workers in the world. We have the finest universities in the world. We have the most dynamic and competitive markets in the world. We remain the #1 exporter of goods and services in the world. So we've got a terrific foundation to build on. But we can't be satisfied with being #1 right now. We shouldn't assume that our leadership is guaranteed. When other markets are growing and other nations are competing, we've got to get even better. We need to secure our companies a level playing field. We need to guarantee American workers a fair shake. In other words, we need to up our game.